Hey TrueBuild members, today we're going to walk you through setting up your Layer 2 account, Advance Auto Parts, also known as CarQuest. In today's video, we're going to go through who Advance Auto is and why they're important at this stage of the building business credit process. Then we will walk you through how to apply for this specific account. We'll also touch on some specific approval requirements. And then to top everything off, we will go over some tips and just some things to remember to properly utilize this account. So I'm going to take you over to your member portal here so that we can find the Advance Auto page, which has everything that you need in order to apply for this account. So here we are on the Advance Auto Parts page in your portal, which is in Layer 2 of Step 3. So you want to make sure that you navigate to Layer 2 and then you'll select on Advance Auto Parts. And then on this page, like I said, we have just a lot of basic information about this particular account. You'll find contact information that we will go over later why that is necessary. You'll also find information about how this account reports. And then if we scroll down to Action Tools, we're going to find the application itself. So you'll want to hit on Go to Application. And then in your browser, it's going to open up this form. Now, this account is a little bit different in the applying process than some of the previous ones we've done. A lot of the accounts we've set up so far have been online accounts that we went online and we registered an account and did purchases that way. Some of them extending that 30 terms, other ones requiring upfront purchases. This account is a little bit different. It is an actual physical application, meaning that we have a PDF form that we need to fill out the company information and then submit it to the credit company. So the way that happens is through email. Advance Auto in particular, they receive applications via email. So what we're going to do is fill out this application and then we will walk you through how to properly submit this to them, which your portal has all the information that you need in order to do that. So to start, we're just going to go through and fill out the information that this application asks for. You'll notice at the top, it asks for a store location and a store number, which is not information that you might know right off the top of your head, most likely. So I'll show you how to find that information, which is really easy. You're just going to go over to the Advance Auto website, and then you're going to go to their Store Locator, which is this little find a location link up in the top right corner. So you'll go in here and then you're just going to input your address. You can input your zip, city, etc. It's going to bring up a map. And then over here, there's going to be a list of your closest locations. So you will actually pick which one is most convenient for you. So for example, we would just select Advance Auto Parts Atlanta. And then it has the store number, that 9621 right here. So we'll take this information and this is what we'll input on the application. We'll go over to the PDF here and then you'll just put the store location. You can just put the city. So for example, it was Advance Auto Atlanta. You could just put Atlanta there and then you'll put the store number that I believe it was 9621. That's the store number that you'll put up in this field here. And then from there, this application is pretty self-explanatory. You are basically just filling out the information that it is asking you to. Some of this information that this particular application asks for is optional. Now, they don't explicitly say the information that is optional, but it would be pretty self-explanatory. For example, if you do not have a DBA for your company, a doing business as, then you would leave that blank, or you can put NA. Probably best just to leave it blank. But then the rest of the information you can treat as required unless you absolutely don't have it. So for example, we'll input the business name here, and then the EIN or the federal tax ID would be a required piece of information, which you will have. Every business that is incorporated does have one of those. So you'll input that 9-digit number there. And then if you do have a DBA, you'll put it there. But like I said, some people don't, so you can leave it blank. And then you'll put in your corporate structure, either corporation, LLC, usually between one of those two or one of the other ones. But like I said, typically you're either a corporation or an LLC. And then you'll put your business physical address. Now this is important. This is the address that is on your Secretary of State filing as well as your credit reports. So Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, you need to make sure that this address matches that. 1, to get the account approved, and then 2, for the trade line to report correctly to the bureaus. You need to make sure it matches. And then the mailing address, some business owners have a separate mailing address that they use for the business. For example, something like a PO box or something like that. If you do not, then you can just leave the autofill that is already put in there for you saying same. If you do have a separate mailing address, you can go ahead and put it in. And then you'll put in your business phone number, whether or not you have a business fax, again, another optional field. And then you'll put in number of locations, typically 1 unless something is different in your case. And then the number of years in business. Now this, it doesn't ask for the incorporation date. So some applications in the future, you'll notice ask for your specific incorporation date. That's not necessarily what this field is asking for. So we have autofilled 3. You can go with that unless you've been in business longer than that. Then you can put, however many years you've been doing what you've been doing. It doesn't necessarily have to coincide with your specific incorporation date, just how long that you've been operating the specific business that you do. But like I said, you can just leave that auto-filled there if that does apply to you, or if you've been in business longer, you can go ahead and change it. And then this state sales tax permit number, most of the time not applicable, so most likely you'll leave that as NA. Your language preference, and then the accounts payable contact, you'll put you as the business owner. The business owner's name goes here, and then phone number, email address, and then monthly purchases. This is just an estimation of how much you anticipate to spend with this account. You can leave our recommendation there, or you can put in something different if you'd like to. And then the bank reference. So this is just where you're going to input your business bank account. You don't want to put your personal account in here. You want to make sure it's the business bank account. And they don't necessarily confirm revenue or things like that. They mostly just want to verify that you do indeed have a business bank account. So you'll input that information asked for there. And then the very bottom of the form, you're just going to complete it by putting your company name, the date that you are completing the application, your name, and then your title within the company, president, CEO, owner, something along those lines. And then you will have a completed application. Now from here, I'm going to steer you over to back to the member portal, and you'll go under action tools for the specific instructions for submitting this application. We'll touch on it here, but definitely go back to the action tools section for the specifics of how to move forward at this point. What you want to do is you want to print out this application, and you need to physically sign it on that signature line that's down there at the very bottom. Make sure to sign the application and save it. Then you're going to take that saved file, and that is going to be what gets emailed to Advance Auto. So we're going to go back over to the member portal here. And this just has more instructions for doing that. So basically, you're going to save the file that you signed, and then that you're going to attach in an email, and that is going to be sent to Advance Auto. And then those contact details that I mentioned earlier that would become applicable, you're going to email that to the email that's listed here on your portal. And then that way their credit department receives your application so that they can process it. Now, typically they do reply within about 3 to 5 business days. If you wait about 7 to 10 business days and have not yet heard back, we do recommend reaching out to them to get a status on the application. Some things that you want to keep in mind, this is a Net 30 account. So sort of similar to some of the layer ones, this account is on Net 30 terms. They will extend you a credit line. Now, when they approve your application, they typically email, sometimes they call, but they typically will email you your approval, letting you know what you were approved for. And then they will also include a account number. That's going to be your customer number. And that is the number that you're going to use to make purchases with this account. So you'll take that number, and you need to have that number if you go in store to make a purchase and you want it tied to your Net 30 terms and to report, then you'll need that number to do an in-store purchase. You can also use that number to register. So I'm going to actually walk you through that as well. We can't actually register it right now because we don't have an approved application to show the full process. And it does require some work on Advance Auto's end to officially tie the account number to the account that you set up. So I will just show you how to get there. So you'll go over to, we have the link in your member portal here. It's this AdvancePro.com. So you'll just click on that. It's going to take you to this page. So this is the page that you're looking for. And then over here, you'll see a little login. You're going to hit request access because we don't have an existing login yet for this account. And keep in mind, like we said before, you need that account number. That's important for this. So you don't do this until you have an approval email from Advance Auto with that account number. And then here, we're going to say request access to AdvancePro. And then what you want to input here, this is a request form. So this is going to be sent over to Advance Auto's customer service because they have to be the ones to tie the number. You can also call them and do this as well using the phone number in your member portal, or you can submit it this way. So you just input your name, your email, and your phone number, and make sure that that information you input is cohesive with what was on the application. And then in the description here, you would say something along the lines of that you just applied for the business credit account, and you'll include that account number that they send you in this description box and let them know that you are trying to set up an online account and you want to attach the account number to it. And then you'll just submit this. And then you should hear back from Advance Auto from them letting you know that they did set up your account. They'll give you your credentials, and then they'll let you know that the account number was tied to the account. And then at that point, you'll have an account that you can then utilize. This is primarily an auto account, so auto parts, maintenance, and things like that. You'll want to make a minimum $50 purchase with this account, similar to those layer ones that we've been through. That $50 minimum purchase requirement is sort of, cohesive across the board. That is typically what these accounts require to report the trade line. So make sure that you do that. And then occasionally, Advance Auto will come back with a message if they don't approve the account immediately. Sometimes they require additional verification, so you'll just want to follow their instructions. If you get an email from them with them asking for additional verification, just make sure that you're responsive and that you're just confirming the information that they're wanting to verify. If in the scenario where you get a denial for this, sometimes they'll cite the reason as being that they don't perceive that your company is in the auto industry. One workaround for that is that you can let them know that you have a fleet of vehicles for your company or a company vehicle that you would like this account in order to service. And sometimes that they'll, reconsider the application and approve it in those scenarios. Sometimes, though, they still will deny this account, and that is perfectly okay. You can actually, if you go up to that point and even after the reconsideration, they still don't approve the net 30 terms for this account, that is perfectly fine. What you want to do at that point is just make sure that you did purchase with all of the required vendors from layer 1. Keep in mind this Advance Auto account, it reports to Dun & Bradstreet and Equifax. It does not report to Experian, but it does report to the other two. So by just making sure that you purchased with all of those required vendor accounts in layer 1, you do satisfy your trade line requirements with Dun & Bradstreet. So that is perfectly okay if this one does not ultimately get approved. You can always reapply for it later as well. But if it doesn't get approved, it's okay. Just make sure that you did purchase with all of those required accounts in layer 1. So now you have an account that is set up and ready to go. If you were approved for it, just make sure to make that $50 minimum purchase. Make sure that when you get the invoice, you pay it 7 to 10 days prior to the due date. As always, that is always the rule across all of these accounts, is to make sure to pay it a little bit earlier just to make sure it reports on time and correctly. And then we are just going to walk you through some reminders and things to keep in mind about this account as you move forward using it. If you don't hear back within the 7 to 10 days, they don't take too long typically to get back to you about the approval status. So if you wait that amount of time, make sure to call them to check on the status so you can get a quicker response. You can even call them 5 to 7 days after submitting it as well. You don't have to wait the full 10. And then if you are approved, you'll receive that email or a call, but typically an email that has your approval amount as well as that account number we talked about. So then you'll want to make sure that you register that to an online account, or you can just also go into store and use that number to make a purchase in store with the account. And then if they require additional verification, make sure you supply that. If you are denied, you can go ahead and reattempt the application with them, letting them know the purpose of using the account. And at that point, if you still are denied, it's okay. Just like we said, make sure to revisit the layer 1 and make sure that you did do a purchase with all of those accounts. And then make the $50 minimum purchase, pay the invoice 7 to 10 days prior to the due date. And then you will simply wait for your trade line to report. Make sure that you are keeping an eye on your reports for that. It will report, like we said, to Dun & Bradstreet and Equifax. So make sure that you keep an eye out for that trade line, and happy reporting.